Thanks for stopping by my channel. I'm Elizabeth Liz Machette, and today is a full moon forecast, lunar eclipse in Pisces 2027. And joining me today is my friend and colleague, Justin Crockett Elzy. Welcome, Justin.
Hey, Liz, it's great to be with you this evening.
It is. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to talk about this lunar eclipse.
Yes, we're in the eclipse season, and we're going to have our second one here in a few days. So,
Yeah, full moon.
yes, it's going to be a lunar eclipse. So, Justin is an archetypal and Jyotish astrologer, teacher, author, and seer. Justin's email address is justin.lz@gmail.com. I'm an astrologer, author, intuitive, and my website is alightpath.com. So, we're in the season of Pisces, or we're having a Pisces full moon. Pisces is a mutable sign. It's about finishing up, evolving, meditating, and adapting. The ruling planet traditionally is Jupiter, and the modern is Neptune. It's Pisces is of the water element, about fluidity, emotions, intuition, subconscious, and dreams. And the mantra is I imagine. And Justin, can you lead us through some keywords and cautions and add extra if you like too?
Well, I like the ones you did here, so I meant to tell you that before we got on the show. The keywords are dreamy or related to dreams, intuitive, spiritual, sensitive, mystic, and compassion or compassionate. Caution would be confusion or being confused, nebulous, sort of along the same lines, enmeshed, and escapist.
Thanks. So the Pisces full moon lunar eclipse is on Thursday, August 27th, and I'm showing the chart for Seattle, Washington. So that'll be 9:19 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. The eclipse will be visible from North and South America, most of Europe, Africa, and parts of Western Asia. And for the chart in Seattle, the moon is in the 12th house and the sun is in the 6th house. Would you like to add anything, Justin?
No, no, not particularly, not with this chart.
So we're going to have Justin share the nakshatras with us.
So the nakshatras are the lunar mansions, and in this show we typically look at the lunar mansions that the sun and moon are in for this full moon. And so because it gives us another an additional perspective about how this sun and moon are presenting themselves and expressing themselves. So it helps us with some of the themes. So the sun here is, of course, we know it's in Virgo, and it's in the nakshatra of Maga, which is in the fourth pada, which is ruled by water, and or fourth section. And these nakshatras are broken up into four elements: fire, earth, air, and water. And this particular sun has a water feel to it. So its ruling planet is Ketu, or the lunar south node. And the ruling deity are the Pitras, which are the deified family ancestors. And that's important to remember because it kind of shows up in our Sabian symbols for the sun. The symbol is a throne, and the basis above is morning, and the basis below is leaving the body, because the Shakti power related to this lunar mansion is the power to leave the body, and it's the star of power. And then for the moon is Nakshatra Shatabashisha, and it's in the second pada. So it has more of an earth feel to it. And this is the star of 100 physicians, or 100 physicians to the gods. And the ruling planet, of course, is Rahu. So it's interesting. We've got both the north node and the south node is ruling the sun and moon. And of course, because it is an eclipse, the sun and moon are next to the nodes, which we always see with eclipses. And the ruling deity here is Varuna. the god of cosmic waters and lord of illusions, or Maya, which is, illusions. The symbol is an empty circle, and a basis above is all pervasiveness, and basis below is support for everything. And so the key word here, of course, is practical. As I said, it's earth oriented, and it has the Shakti power is the power to heal and support. Now, you may ask yourself, is what do we mean by all pervasiveness and support for everything? So this is a lunar mansion which has this energy of open-mindedness to a certain extent, if we want to say all pervasiveness and support for everything. So it's sort of an all-encompassing open-mindedness and flexibility here, but it's very practical. And again, because we are thinking about Virgo Pisces here, which is Virgo is what the sun is in, which is about logic and reasoning, and of course the moon is in Pisces, which brings in illusions, right? As we were talking about there before, dreams, subconscious illusions. So we start to see some themes here within the lunar mansions. They're giving us some ideas. So again, the sun is in a nakshatra, which is basically talking about support from our ancestors on the other side, and showing us things about what needs to leave the body or be healed. And the moon here is in the nakshatra of Shatabashisha, which is about being healed and opening up to the truth to things, and looking through what is really illusion and what is not. So that's the two lunar mansions that are affecting the sun and moon here.
Thank you for sharing the nakshatras with us today. That's always very helpful, and I'm learning a little bit more every time. So you have some favorable activities for us through this full moon period.
Yeah, so again, some of the themes are like honoring our ancestors, or ancestor worship. And of course a lot of us have our pictures with candles on our altars or mantles. That's an element of honoring your ancestors. Medical treatments are good during these periods. Public performances, or going to public performances, or doing any type of public performance. Settling disputes, contracts, any type of education or learning, upgrading equipment, or acquiring new vehicles. As you can see here is the last one I put. Anything to do with career strategies, and of course meditation and yoga. And these are just few of the auspicious activities associated with these two nakshatras.
Thank you. And then we're going to go into the Sabian symbols, and they were channeled in 1925. And they're an image for each degree of the zodiac, or it's a story that makes it into an image, basically. So we're going to look at the sun at 4 degrees. So we'll look at the degree before, the degree of, and the next degree. So what's leading up, the degree of, the now, and then what's next. So go ahead and start, Justin.
So I think, before we read these, can I just say one thing? I think a good thing and to kind of, if I wanted, for people who are listening, I think it's good to remember that the sun, with a lunar eclipse or a full moon, the sun is shining the light onto the moon. And in a lunar eclipse, part of the concept there is that the earth sees its shadow. So the sun here is illuminating something for us. It's illuminating something for us. So as we read these or go through these, we can think about, here's what the sun is or here's what the sun maybe is trying to illuminate, or illumination theme. And then of course, when we look at the moon, is what are we actually seeing, right, as far as the earth's shadow. So the Sabian symbol, the 3 degree, is 2 guardian angels. And keynote here is invisible health and protection in times of crisis, and realization of strength within.
And then Virgo 4 is children of many cultures play together happily. The overcoming of socio-cultural prejudices, and the key phrase is brotherhood. And I reworded this because it's basically how it was worded for 100 years ago. It's politically incorrect to say what it says, so I changed it.
Yeah. And then Virgo 5 degrees is a man becoming aware of nature spirits and normally unseen spiritual agencies. The keynote is the opening of new levels of consciousness. And so here we have um, the use of imagination.
So how would you sum up these 3 degrees for the sun?
Well, if you remember, we were talking about the nakshatras, or the nakshatra for the sun was the Maga, which is the Petras, which is the deified ancestors, and here we have guardian angels, and really this sort of this more understanding of the celestial family.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, and a person becoming aware of spirits and spirit agencies. So I think that, guardian angels, this is really speaks to that lunar mansion, which is talking about helpers from that are not in the physical, that are helping us and letting us understand this brotherhood, or this greater larger spiritual family that we're a part of at this particular time. So this is, I think, what the sun is showing us, is that we are part of a larger spiritual family that's not visible, our ancestors and helpers on the other side that are helping us through this period.
Right, and it helps give us strength, and then to have imagination to create from there.
Yep.
Okay, now we're going to do the moon. So Pisces 3, petrified tree trunks lie broken on desert sand. The power to preserve records of achievement, which is inherent in fully matured cultures, a symbol of indestructibility.
And then Pisces 4 is heavy car traffic on a narrow road linking two seashore resorts. And the keynote is the mobility intensity of interchange, which makes possible and characterize complex social processes. And so the key phrase here really is traffic. But if you really think about it, it has some. Again, we were talking about Pisces energy here. Confusion ensues, and traffic jams are ever-present possibilities. So, what's an illusion and what's not an illusion?
And then Pisces 5, a church bazaar, the value of giving a spiritual or transcendental sanction to even the most commonplace interchanges between social persons and individual minds. And the key phrase is ritualize beneficence. Ugh, I'm tongue tied tonight. Beneficence. I can't say it. Can you help?
Benevolence, yes.
Yes. So, how would you sum these ones up?
Well, I think this gets back to, and what we'll talk about is how Mercury is is playing a role here opposite the moon and next to the sun, is because that's the planet of the mind and thinking. That I think this is a really good moon for an inflection point. The concept of rethinking things, inflection point about what's important now, and really reaching out to those spiritual agencies which are around us to help us to see through illusion at this particular point in time. And I think, here we have in the Pisces this understanding that about looking through the con and not being confused about what's going on, and also giving um, agencies, or giving energy to the value of spiritual interchanges, and we're supposed to lean into that help, I believe.
Thank you. So, looking at the chart, we're just going to briefly go over the ascendant is at 17 degrees Aries, and that would be the chart ruler is Mars in Cancer. The midheavens at 7 degrees Capricorn, ruled by Saturn in Aries. The sun's at 4 degrees Virgo, ruled by Mercury in Virgo, and the moon is at 4 degrees Pisces, uh, ruled by Jupiter or Neptune. I forgot to write that one in, so. And Jupiter's in Leo and Neptune is in Aries. Do you want to add anything?
No, no, you got it.
So we have the Pisces full moon lunar eclipse at 4 degrees Pisces in 54 minutes. And the moon aspects are the moon is conjunct the north node, opposite the sun, Mercury, and south node, trine Mars and Ceres, and square Uranus, forming a T square. So go ahead and speak to whatever jumps out at you.
Well, I think I've already sort of brought it up. I think what really I think's important here is Mercury in Virgo there, and when Mercury's in Virgo, Mercury in Virgo acts like it's analyzing things, right? It's if a person has Mercury in Virgo, they tend to be a little bit more detail oriented, analyzing, looks for perfection, more intelligence because they have Virgo has a smartness about it, because it's interested in data and details, and I think this is very positive, especially with the moon in Pisces. I think that the sun with Mercury is saying, okay, here's the truth. Here is, the lens through that you can see what is illusion right now, what is not in your lives. And I think the other thing that jumps out to me is how the moon is trining Mars, and of course we know that Mars is, you know, generally Cancer is sextiling Virgo there, right? So even though they're not in the later degrees of Virgo, there's generally Cancer energy. It sextiles Virgo, which is very creative. And of course, that Mars is trining the moon. And so when Mars is in Cancer, it's emotionally rationalizing things, or it can emotionally rationalize things. And I think that's a caution here but there's also this easy flow of receptiveness and intuition in this period of looking through the lens and really seeing what is illusion and what is not right now. And so I think there's a really strong intuitive perception right now that can play out with folks with that. What about you?
Well, the T square with Uranus square the sun and the moon and the nodes, it's like I always think of T squares as adjustments that we have to make, and Uranus is usually sudden and unexpected change. So it might be, oh my goodness, that happened, but it's like you just adjust and move on from there. It's like don't, you know, dwell on what happened so much as how can I adjust to move through this energy.
Yeah. Can I say something about that? I think you bring up a good point here. So Gemini, of course, squares Virgo. And so you have the two planets there, Mercury and Uranus, in the signs that Mercury rules. And they're squaring. There's a square between um, Mercury and Uranus here. And um, that's analytical. That's very analytical, and so when you're saying don't overanalyze, that's easier said than done here, I think, and with this situation. But I think it helps us in really seeing through what's important right now and what's true and what's not true.
Right, and there's a healthy amount of analysis that needs to take place, but don't get stuck in trying to figure it out, I
Yeah.
think is what I'm trying to say.
No, you're right. You're
Mhm.
definitely right.
Anything else you'd like to say?
No.
Okay. So this slide has the T-square again, and it's all explained there. And then there's some other squares. Ceres Mars is square to Neptune and Saturn, and Vesta Chiron are square to Juno. So there's, some, I always think of squares as Martian energy, but we have to work through to make the changes and adjustments to move forward in our lives. So go ahead, Justin.
Well, again, so Aries is a sign squares Cancer in general. And so this can be an element here, especially with Mars and Cancer, meaning that people are going to act more now based on their feelings and their emotions. And that individual personal planet is squaring where maybe other people are going in the other opposite direction, which is Neptune, which is the collective in Aries. And so there can be this separateness, or I won't say disconnect, but at times where people in this period may say they may lean more into their own inner truth and their intuition versus what everybody else is going, whereas everybody else is going off the cliff, and that one person may say, nope, I'm not going off the cliff on that one. So that, I think that really jumps out to me as the out of this whole thing there with the other squares, is Mars squaring Neptune there with that.
Well, and with all the little circles, it's like we have these little clusters of several points being really close to each other, like the South Node and the Moon, and then Neptune and Saturn, and then Eris, Vesta, and Chiron, and Ceres and Mars. So it's like all these little clusters together, and then they're squaring off on other points. So it's like there's a lot more energy than just if it was just one point in the astrology chart that was squaring off to another point. So it's like you mix those energies together. So there's kind of a lot going on. And I kind of wanted to say with the T-square that I thought of earlier and forgot of, it's like there's kind of some chaos out in the world, or uncertainty, and things changing constantly. So it's kind of just the same feel of what's kind of happening out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree.
Would you like to add anything on this slide?
Well, I'll say one other thing about the Mars there with Ceres. I think that's a very auspicious thing. I think that means that, especially people who have Mars in Cancer, that this can be a very nurturing time for them, and that people may even lean more into. It can be auspicious when people right now lean into something that they need to nurture in their lives. And I think Ceres actually complements the Mars energy here, and I think that's a very good conjunction there.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to the next slide. And then we still have a minor grand trine going on with Pluto, Uranus, and Neptune that's been going on for several months now. And then we mentioned before that Moon and North Node are trine Ceres and Mars. So do you want to comment on this? We've been talking about the minor grand trine for months on my show, but if you want to
No,
add something.
no, I think you got it covered.
Okay. Okay, now we're going to go into the lunar phases, and using the 4 lunar phases, new phase, first quarter, full phase, and third quarter. I look at the lunar phases for 3 different lunar phases, basically, because we have a monthly lunar phase, one each month, or about 29 and a half days, or 29 and a quarter. Then we have a yearly lunar phase. And then we have a lunar phase family, or gestational cycle, that each phase lasts 9 months and takes 3 years to complete. And we're going to go into that a little bit more here. So we're going to start with the lunar phase family or gestational cycle. Pesson discovered that these phases play out over 9-month intervals. And so the lunar phase family or gestational cycle that we're in at this time, the new phase began February 27th to 25 at 9 degrees Pisces. The first quarter phase was November 27th, 2025 at 6 degrees Pisces. And we're at the full phase right now, August 27th of 2026 at 4 degrees Pisces. And then the third quarter phase will be May 28th, 2027. And if you journal or keep any kind of notes with the lunar phases, I find some of these lunar phase families play out in my life and some don't. So it's kind of fun to play with, but I'm moon ruled. So
Yeah. Well, I like this. I really love this when you go through this, Liz, because this really helps us think about that now that we may be, bringing something to manifestation of something that we started in February of last year, and that we maybe initiated or was growing it in the first quarter of November of this last year, and now we're bringing it to fruition. And then once we get to May of next year, it'll be what worked and what didn't work, through what we're manifesting now. So we're not really done with it just yet. Well, I guess when we do the lunar phase family of the moon, in May of next year, then we'll see how this worked out.
well, and every new moon starts a lunar phase family. So it's like every month you're going to start a whole 3-year cycle, and some play out and some don't. Because with the moon, it's like in 28 and a half, 29 days, you can't, you could, but most likely you'd have to plan for a business, do a business plan, get a loan, get a building, whatever you're doing. And it takes time to do all that and accomplish that. So,
Right.
but these can work out in our life also. And then the yearly lunar phase began of March 18th of 2026 at 28 degrees Pisces, and we're at the Pisces full moon phase at 4 degrees Pisces. So it's like there's 3 different ways to use the lunar phases, and this is the 4 lunar phases, which I also work with the 8 lunar phases, but I wanted to make that clear. Anything else to add, Justin?
No, I love this.
Okay, I want to thank our audience for joining us. I want to thank you, Justin, for joining us, and those that come back and watch at a later time. We appreciate you. And Justin and
Can I
I,
can I can I just say one thing about kind of summary of what I think is important about this new moon? Um, and I'd be curious what you think too. But I think this is a really important moon to not just go out and rush and do something. I think this is a good one to sit back and um, connect with your loved ones on the other side, your spirit guides on the other side, or whatever that is for you, and to inflect about things, about way things are right now and where you stand with that and what our focus should be. All of us have individual goals and everything. So I think this is a really, I think if hopefully people take, if you watch this show, the thing you take out of this is that this is a really an inflection full moon, because it's a lunar eclipse, so the Earth sees its shadow, right? The what's hidden, and I think this is so that means this moon is about inflection and evaluation, um, and I think it's good if we all just take those individual times to do that. What would you say is your summary about this moon?
well, yeah, I think that there's some adjustments and changes that we're all going to be making. They could be sudden, but I think more they're going to be more gradual than sudden. And for me, on my astrology chart, this lunar eclipse is on my midheaven and Venus and Ceres and my nodes. So, and even my Chiron. So it's like it's activating my chart a lot and my Pluto. So It's activating a ton, so I'm kind of interested to see how I'll work with that energy that's coming up.
Right. Awesome.
You
Yeah,
know?
it's actually affecting me as far as my 10th and 4th house in my chart. So,
Exactly. So it's like sometimes when the eclipses come and they are really close to a planet, I feel them more. But I'm lunar based anyway, but my chart ruler is the moon. So
right.
okay, Justin and I both do consultations in person and over Zoom. We have newsletters and YouTube channels, so we appreciate your support and um, following us and subscribing. So we look forward to hearing from you in the future. And Justin, go ahead and tell us about your slide here.
Yeah, and so a good way to get a hold of me is through my email. That's the best way to get a hold of me. And I just want to encourage people to go out to YouTube to at Astrological Yogi and subscribe to my channel, because this video will not only be on Liz's channel but also my channel as well.
And Justin writes a weekly horoscope for the Port Townsend Leader that I think you can go online and read. It's
You
very
can.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoy it. So I want people to know about that.
Thank you.
Um, and then from time to time, I'm on Justin's channel for the New Moon Outlook. And then there's lots of shows in the archives and a show or two each week that Justin joins me a few times a month and other astrologers. So we look forward to seeing you all in the near future. And Justin, I want to thank you for joining me today. And I'm going to do our sponsor, Astro Peregrine software and astrology software for Mac and Windows. And you can find out more information on Astro Peregrine. And earlier today, I recorded a show with John, and he talked about the, oh my God, I know I can't remember, but he does Noel Till School, and he did the hemispheres and their importance. And, you might want to check that out. So thank you all for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you again in the near future. And thank you again, Justin. And I'm going to say goodbye for now. So,
Well, thanks for having me, Liz, and I'll see you later.
yes, we'll see you soon.